Welcome back to Lost Legacies.
A Hidden City Book Company production.
I'm Matt.
And I'm done with this podcast. Good night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the last episode because the last episode was actually the last episode. I'm out.
Sam will no longer be joining us for the rest of this series. It's
Out.
just gonna
I'm
be me.
leaving.
Today we're gonna start My Little Pony season 2, episode 3. No, I don't know. Is My Little Pony even a show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I should start from the beginning.
Where do you think the BronyCon came from?
I don't know. I thought they were toys or something.
Well, yeah, they were toys that then got a show.
Hmm.
Show ended, and then
Mm-hmm.
years later they got another show, and then they got more toys. And
Wow.
it's all cyclical.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's official as of today. Eon, I think that's how you say it. Eon has relinquished the rights to James Bond. It's
Ooh.
now owned by MGM Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, interesting.
So wait, Eon, weren't they? But I thought they were. I thought they just did like the video games.
Oh, I don't know.
Have they been
I
like a?
um I didn't read the article because I saw it like right before this, so I'm just telling you what I saw in the headlines.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
they said
hey,
the what are
that's
the
something.
Broccolis family or
Yeah.
whatever, they've signed everything away. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
at least that's what the headline said because I saw several headlines saying different things. So I'm like, okay. Uh, I'm pretty sure we'll hear more of this and we'll discuss it, as the pod goes on. Um,
Hmm.
Interesting. We'll see where that goes. Well, I guess we're getting into it. Listeners, as you can tell, we're not really cracked up to get into this episode, but let's just do it. We're talking about Lost, season 6, episode 14, The Candidate, in which everyone dies.
No, Matt. Not everyone dies, and that's
Just
the problem.
just our favorites.
Yeah.
Man, so okay, walk us through it, Sam. What were your feelings as this episode went on?
As I have stated before a couple of times, there were certain things that I knew about Lost going
Mm-hmm.
in,
Mm-hmm.
and there were certain characters that I knew who died throughout the series. I didn't know the particulars, but I just knew, oh yeah, they die at some point. I knew that Sun and Jin died
Yeah.
together.
Mm-hmm.
The second the second they said somebody said, I don't remember who in this episode said, the second they said we have to take the sub, and I saw the sub, I was like, this is it, isn't it? This is how it starts. This is this is where they die. Uh-huh. Okay. Now I was already upset knowing that, and this whole time going through their entire story, their entire journey, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what I've been the most upset about, is
Mm-hmm.
that I already know how these characters, how their story ends.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks to see them get pockets of good storytelling and then for the rest of the show just be so underwritten and so underutilized. This season in particular, like
Yeah.
Sun bashes her head and forgets English for some reason. Like, that's dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's contrived. It's not great writing. So me having known that and seeing it, I think I've just been railing against, like, I want better. I want
Yeah.
better because I fell in love with these characters, and I fell in love with their story. It's a beautiful love story. They're some of my favorite characters in the show. What I didn't know is that Saeed didn't make it out of this alive either. So you're telling me that this episode we lose not only Sun and Jin, but we also lose Saeed. Kate got shot.
Hmm.
She got shot, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if Kate's gonna make it out of this or not. You know, it's like I guess this is a way to get Jack off the island. And then Saeed has to go and blow himself up. And I'm I I'm upset because this is a great episode. This is some of the strongest writing of the season. This is some of the best like direction and best acting and best writing of the series, I think. And but at what cost?
Hmm.
At what cost? You know, we now have lost three of our, it's like let's not even talk about like them as like oh potential candidates for whatever. Like no, we lost three of our friends. And
Hmm.
that sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm upset.
Yeah.
But great episode. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, at least Sawyer's alive. At least Kate is still alive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on one hand, it was a good episode. So when we think back on Lost, like that's gonna be one of those moments, Not that we enjoy it, but like we're always going to remember Libby and Anna Lucia getting shot, you
Yeah.
know? And we're always going to remember the sub now.
Hmm.
It's just like, damn. I think I remember when I first saw it, and of course it hit me hard. I'm just like, oh man, it really kind of hits it home that like this story is coming to an end, you know?
Hmm.
And I don't I don't know. I think part of the problem, I mean, it's I'm not saying anything new. It's what we've been saying all season is like this show has some really, really excellent writing this season, but none of it is really on island. It's all
Yeah.
the alternate timeline stuff. So it's so weird to get all this really good writing, but none of it is going towards like these characters that we wanted to, like Sun and Jin,
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
Saeed. I do take issue with Saeed's death this time around because we don't really, in a lot of ways, he has less to do than Sun and Jin. You
Hmm.
know, he's kind of just like evil Saeed for a while, and then we get the sense that he isn't. Just in this last episode, he seems kind of more back to normal, and I'm assuming that's because he had a talk with Desmond. But still, he makes the heroic play, you know, and
Yeah.
I feel like it should have came more out of nowhere. They could have put more emphasis on his sacrifice.
Mm.
Yeah, like I don't know, even Hurley saying I gotta go get Saeed, and Jack says there is no Saeed. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, like everything happened so fast, which I get. That's the scenario that they were put in and the writers wrote, and it's a brilliant scenario. But the way it was kind of executed was just like super quick. I'm like, come on, this is Lost. We do slow mo, not really slow motion, but we do montages and we do the piano music so much. Like
Yeah.
they could have made it more impactful. Or yeah, like not that it's not. It is kind of weird because instantly like he's dead, but everyone's immediately in danger. And then we're faced with the death of Sun and Jin. So it's like we never
Yeah.
really have time to process Saeed's death. And it's like I wish they would have made more of that moment of like he's sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Man in Black, he played them. He even forecasted it. He said this is what Charles Widmore wants to get us all in one tight confined space to kill us, and then that's what he does to them.
Yeah. And Frank, is Frank okay? I don't know. He got hit by that door and then we didn't see him
You see
surface.
him?
So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna assume Frank's dead too.
yeah. Um, and you know what? really pisses me off. I mean, I think it's kind of the point, but Sawyer in this episode, like, okay,
Yeah.
man, he's continued to make bad calls throughout this whole season. And this time he makes like two different bad calls, and it's just like, oh, dude. So with 3 episodes left, I hope he comes to realize that. Because again, I love that scene where Jack tells him, like, no, no, no. He's like, trust me. Like, if we don't touch the bomb, we'll be okay. And Sawyer's like, nah, I can't do it, Doc. Just
Hmm.
like, dude, come on. You're surrounded by all of this stuff happening and you're refusing to acknowledge it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and now people are dead because of it, and I hope he realizes that when he wakes up.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that's the thing, it's like it's fine it's fine to still have characters who like are holding true to their convictions
yeah,
and it's like fine, sure, like you don't believe in any of this, mumbo jumbo, hokey religions or nothing,
yeah,
without a, yeah, the Han Solo thing, right?
yeah,
Like that's fine. But yeah, like to still be within this and to be this far in, like Sawyer, you guys time traveled.
yeah, yeah.
You lived in a completely different decade, several decades removed from you for
Mm-hmm.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me that's more explainable than, you know, faith. Than having faith in like
Yeah,
in this dude that you've known for so long, So it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like we're literally fighting an evil column of smoke.
Yeah.
Like magic's real, bro. It's all around us. Like you're having a conversation with it,
Yeah.
and you're gonna tell me like, no, we can't take this chance. It's like, dude, like
Hmm.
you gotta learn to survive. And I guess that's kind of what I'm more upset at, because like I like the character, I like what they're doing with it, but like Sawyer's is a survivor. He's so adaptable. So it
Hmm.
is kind of weird, like, that he hasn't adapted to this island yet.
Yeah.
He's still finding ways to survive. He's still Sawyer, but yeah, like he's not really adapting to his surroundings, which is what he's like the best at.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It is nice having that one character who's like just doesn't believe it, or just like he's like, nah, you're crazy. No way. Like I like that. That's fun. But at the same time, like I do want to see, and I thought this was going to kind of happen when Man in Black takes him to the cave and he sees all their names on the wall. I thought this was like a moment where, like, oh, he's going to realize, like, there is something at play here, some kind of force beyond my understanding, you
Hmm.
know? But instead of learning from that and adapting, he just kind of ignores it. He's like, nah.
I think it's just because that's not everything after that isn't necessarily a well written story.
Right. Yeah, I
It's like,
agree.
yeah, you like the Man in Black is showing him all of these names, but to somebody like Sawyer, it's like, yeah, like this could be destiny predetermined, but this also just looks like scribbles on a wall.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like there needed to be more. We needed to devote
Hmm.
more time to developing that idea if that was the route they wanted Sawyer to go on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And all the scribbles on the wall, including Kate's name. Like, what
Hmm.
does that mean? He doesn't need Kate. Why? Like, what changed? Like, how did he figure that he didn't need Kate? Like,
Hmm.
when I say he, I mean, I guess the Man in Black or Jacob. That's Jacob's cave.
Yeah, that was Jacob's cave.
So it's like, I'm really curious, like, what disqualified Kate?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It sucks that Claire's still like, I get it, because we haven't really. If she had gone with them on the sub, I would have been like, would Kate or would Claire have left the Man in Black behind? I don't know. It
Hmm.
seems kind of rushed, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact it's just kind of annoying that she's still like waiting for this guy. I'm like, ah, can we just address this and have her move on from this, please?
Hmm.
Like, we're running out of episodes, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Although I kind of interpreted it as like, okay, yeah, sure, like she gets stuck down, like shooting everybody that's shooting them.
Yeah.
Um, but like they're taking off, and then he pulls her back, says like you don't want to be on that sub. And then yeah, later on in the night, like she's like they're very separated, and he's just like, well, it's Ink. And then he starts taking off, and like Claire doesn't go with him.
Hmm.
It's like I think it's just kind of a thing of like, sh- you know, she she got left behind again. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I definitely do feel like she's more on their side now.
Hmm.
Especially now that they're dead.
Hmm.
Or most of them are dead. And I'm sure that she's just at a loss right now because yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I like the stuff off island though. Her actually kind of getting to connect with Jack. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that's interesting. That's nice to see. Um, man, I know this is cruel, but it felt good seeing Anthony Cooper in that state.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got it coming to you. But it was heartbreaking to hear how it happened.
Hmm.
How Locke like crashed the plane somehow and
Hmm.
all this stuff.
And I guess mostly just because like this isn't the Anthony Cooper we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is somebody completely different who it sounds like had a very different relationship, had an
Yeah.
actual relationship with his son.
And I'm wondering because we've talked about this in the past. Like, what are the rules of this alternate world? How are things different? How are they better? And it's like a twisted version of them. Like, I'm trying to think of the example we talked about the other time, a couple episodes ago.
Hmm.
Um, so if like Jack, he has such an issues with his father, which we find out he kind of still has in this timeline, but he's a better father and he's become a better father
Yeah.
himself. That's kind of the twisted thing. He starts off like this season on the path of becoming his dad, and he's able to jump off of it because he has a kid. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then again, like Saeed, he's not with Nadia, but his brother is. So he still has the family, but it's kind of like this weird sense of like, I don't deserve her. Like, I don't get my paradise, you
Yeah.
know? And so I kind of have that feeling with Locke because Locke in real life was very much didn't understand like why Anthony Cooper did that to him, why his own father did that to him, betrayed him that way, you
Hmm.
know? And, just like any child dealing with some kind of traumatic experience with a parent, they think it's their fault, you
Yeah.
know? So I think it's really interesting that Locke's twist in this timeline is that it's his fault. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh
Hmm.
man, okay. So it's like everyone's journey in this alternate timeline is somehow it's like still tied to them, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, oh geez, this is twisted. But yeah, man, I don't know. That was rough.
I will say, like, we lose Saeed, Son, and Jin, some of the most harrowing TV I've ever watched. I'm
Uh-huh.
weeping. I'm sobbing. Michael Giacchino is just killing it with his little sad pianos.
Yeah, yeah.
We see the sub sink to the bottom, cut. And then cut back to the hospital and John Locke's being wheeled out. And we see Jin walking through the hallway. And I'm like, I know this is the storytelling, and I know this is the
Yeah.
story we're telling. I don't give two shits about John Locke and Jack Shepard in this alternate universe where they're trying to come to terms with like, I don't know why you won't let me save you,
Yeah,
John. Also, Jack, that's such a bad, it's such an ableist thing to like think. It's like I can save you. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, he's still living his life. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's still he's still living his life and he's made peace with this, You're the one and he
Yeah.
even says it himself that like he doesn't know how to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Jack doesn't know how to stop. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why he's going to continue pursuing that. And we already know that because we've been watching the show. But it's just an ableist thing to say where it's like, I wish you'd let me save you, John. It's like that's you got to
Yeah.
not do that, like that
Yeah.
like that bit right there is just not it.
Yeah. Coming at it from Jack's perspective, that's very much who Jack Shepard has always been. If I see
Mhm.
a solution, if I see a way to fix it, then let's fix it. You
Mhm.
know, and it's not until we really find out, you know, the real reason, Locke feels this way. And it's like, oh, okay, this is much more a mental and emotional decision. And it's like, okay, it's like,
Mhm.
all right, because I mean, especially if you're not familiar with, you know, that world of people with disabilities of some sort, it kind of seems it's easy to see like where Jack's coming from. Like, well, if you can fix it, why wouldn't you? You know?
Yeah.
So Jack Shepard of all people, like it makes sense that's what he would do. He does go far. He's trying to find Anthony Cooper. Oh, he runs into Bernard. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, man. It's just that's one of those tricky, decisions because even back then in a while back in Locke's episode where he decides not to call Jack, we were saying the opposite. We were like, just do it, Locke. You deserve it. Like, sure, you found happiness, but like the solution's right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. And I mean, of course, it's such a whiplash just to see Jin real quick in essentially like a cameo. I was like, oh man.
Mhm.
But okay, you missed something because you said, you see the sub sink to the bottom and then it cuts to black. I'm like, it doesn't just sink to the bottom. We see various scenes of the underwater sub, and then we see the hands of Sun and Jin,
Yes.
and Jin floats away, and you just see Sun's
Yes.
body there. And I'm like, you rat bastards. We didn't have to see that.
Mhm.
I'm glad we did though, because that hit me hard. I was like, oh, it was like the
Like,
knife was already in my heart, and they just turned it. And I'm like,
mhm.
uh,
Wow. Even in death, they can't be together. You guys suck.
yeah, you guys
You guys
suck, but
suck.
good job.
Yeah, I guess. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Oh man.
Whoop de doo. You kill
Yeah.
off three fan favorites, and yet, you know, Sawyer gets a bump on the head and Kate gets shot
I
again.
wonder if he'll be able to speak English when he wakes up.
Right?
Hmm.
No, he'll revert back to his egotistical and
Racist
sarcastic,
name calling.
yeah, racist name calling, yeah. And I'm sure he's gonna blame Locke. He's gonna blame Locke for getting them all killed. No, Sawyer, this one's on you.
Yeah, and I hope he realizes that. We'll just have to see. What else happened off island?
That was pretty much it.
Right? It was mostly Jack and Locke and then a little
Yeah.
bit of Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Um, there were more. There. Everybody kind of all said in some way, shape, or form that they were on the same flight.
Yeah, that's becoming more and more of a thing. And Jack is
Mm-hmm.
like he's going crazy, man. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Uh oh, Widmore's people. That one guy finally died. I was like, yes,
Oh yeah.
finally. I'm like, shouldn't you guys know what you're up against? Like, you're walking into the jungle to shoot at a column of smoke.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like that's something that's kind of disappointing about this season. The whole Widmore thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get he would bring scientists, but like you think he would bring competent people.
Yeah.
Like,
Like it's such a 180 of like, well, I sent
yeah,
mercenaries last time, but that didn't go as planned. So now
yeah.
all scientists. It's like,
Well,
no,
and we
dude.
talked about that, and like that's fine because you would want scientists on this island, but they're not very competent. They're not really able to protect anyone. Like
Yeah.
it should have been like a mix. Like I wanted him to be surrounded by dangerous people the way Kimi was. You
Yeah.
know, I want to actually consider Widmore a threat this season, and
Yeah.
we haven't really been able to. You know, I'm interested in what he's doing because he has that whatever machine, that he stuck Desmond in. But I'm like, so I'm really curious to see what Widmore's up to. But not at any point through the season have I considered him a threat. You
Yeah.
know, he could blow up extras from a whole other island, but he's not going to blow up our main cast.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I did like how how Saeed sort of explained away why it's just like these people.
yeah. Oh, they
You
just all
know,
they ran away. Yeah.
yeah, they either died or they all just ran off into the jungle.
Yeah.
So it's just us. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Shortest
No,
podcast episode ever.
spot on.
We haven't seen Widmore die, so I'm pretty sure he's still alive. And the annoying lady with him as well.
Hmm.
But I guess the other guys on the sub are dead too. Like,
Yeah.
damn, they just had a bad day.
Hmm.
I wonder how long has this season been? It's like a week, right?
I feel like, yeah.
Because we haven't really seen them like camp out too much. Maybe twice.
Yeah.
They're just
Well,
very long days.
like they did, they did make it to like the temple and
That's
then,
true. Yeah.
yeah.
And then when everyone got killed at Temple, that was like another night.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
okay. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just it feels like this whole last season is like it's the final run. You know, we have to get back to the island, and they finally do. And oh, I guess technically they did get to the 50s, but they were there what like 60s, right?
60s.
See, they were in the
No,
70s.
70s. Yeah.
They were in the 70s for like 2.5 days, like because they go to the Dharma orientation and then they have like a day of work, and then I feel like the
Oh,
next day they're getting in gunfights.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
think they were there like maybe 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Uh, and now this again, I think it's been like 2 or 3 days since they've made it back. So
Yeah.
this is just like the week from hell.
Like, man, just speed running, plot and character development.
Yeah, very much so, unfortunately. But I'm still digging it. And I mean, honestly, the off island stuff is really, really keeping me invested. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess it still hurts, but I'm still like, well, Sun and Jin are still another timeline. So is Saeed.
For now.
For now.
For now.
Yeah, he got arrested last time we saw him.
Hmm.
So yeah, man, I got nothing else. What else you want to talk about? That's it, guys.
Catch that game last weekend? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Movie news. We're getting a Jack Ryan movie with John Krasinski.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, so I think the show only went like 3 seasons, and everyone's like,
Hmm.
that was way too short.
Oh.
So they're gonna do a
Okay.
movie, and they'll probably do several movies. But Peaky Blinders is gonna continue after their movie.
Oh.
Stephen Knight, right? Is that the creator's name? He didn't say how, and he's like, I can't officially announce anything, but the saga will continue after the
Mm-hmm.
movie. It's like, okay. Um,
The author, Martha Wells,
oh,
posted two screenshots from the new uh, uh, sci-fi series coming to Apple based off of her books, Murderbot,
nice.
which I've talked about on the podcast, and
Hmm.
I really love them. I think they're great. Yeah, the first screenshot is of our titular Murderbot themselves. And I'm like, oh, cool, fantastic.
Hmm.
Great. Looks cool. Looks like a funky, kind of robot.
Hmm.
Great. And then the second photo is of Alexander Skarsgård, who
Hmm.
plays the Murderbot. And
Oh, wait, what? Really?
yeah. Yeah, did I not talk about this on the podcast?
No.
Yeah.
So they make him look like a human?
Yeah. Well, so like so here's the thing. Like the whole thing about Murderbot is that like they're built uh they're what are they called? They're like they're a security unit drone
Mm-hmm.
that has like a humanoid shape,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they've always got like tactical armor or power armor on or something. So they're always going into hot spots, they're like, but they're expendable.
Mm.
Murderbot, this one that we're following, has hacked their systems so that they don't necessarily have to keep following protocol
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have to keep like answering like really to like their official like overlords or whatever. They're kind of just doing their own thing because
Nice.
but they're never trying to be like more human. They're just
Yeah.
trying to be free.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so it's like, okay, cool. So, but part of their design is that like they do have human faces
Mm-hmm.
when, like their scientists or the people they're protecting, like if they want to try and feel at ease or comfortable around
Mm-hmm.
this big robot, they do have like a human face. But they're still always in the power armor. So it's sort of like this visor like goes up and then there's
Kind of like
some
RoboCop.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is some kind of human face, but I don't know. I feel like just the way I've always envisioned Murderbot and the way they've always been described is not, like a near 7 foot tall, you know,
Human guy.
human guy,
Yeah.
European, actor. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not at all who I'm thinking of at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just feels like a weird fit.
Hmm.
Um,
We need to ask Dan, our buddy Dan. He read them or he started them, I believe,
oh,
because of
cool.
your recommendation.
Hey,
Mm.
there you go. I'm not caught up. I did finish the novel
Mm-hmm.
because there are a series of novellas, and they did like four novellas and then like a full novel,
Mm.
and then I think they've jumped back to novellas again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I like them. I enjoy them. They're really witty.
Mm.
Uh, and yeah, and if you listen to the audiobooks, like I think like the shortest one is like 2.5 hours.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's super super breezy. They're fun.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's the kind of sci-fi I like where like it gets into like really really heady concepts,
Yeah.
but you also have a very like snarky and sort of unreliable narrator,
Mm-hmm.
because all of this is told from Murderbot's perspective, and he
Right.
doesn't really have a great opinion of humans.
Yeah.
So they really do think that like, well, I'm better at this, and obviously humans are dumb. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool. That's funny. Dan, let us know what you think about this new show coming out.
yeah.
Did it say when it's coming out?
May 16th, 2020. Oh, this year, 2025.
All right, not that far away.
Yeah.
Um, well, Netflix has officially greenlit or they're working on The Forgotten Realms, which is a D&D show.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's exciting. I'm not really cracked up. I don't know who the showrunner is. Like, he doesn't have too many credits to his name. And then the
Hmm.
director, I don't know if he's directed the whole thing or just the first episode. What, Sean Levy? Is that
Yeah.
his name? From Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm like,
Hmm.
all right,
Hmm.
whatever.
And various other Netflix projects, most
Mm.
notably, directing some of the bigger episodes of Stranger Things.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. So,
So I think they're just trying to they need something big because
who?
sh- Netflix.
Oh,
Stranger
yeah.
Things is ending. The Witcher is ending. I think I don't know if this new season's gonna be their last one or if they have one more after that. I don't know.
Mm.
But I feel like they announced the end.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I might have just made that up. I don't remember. But yeah, I feel like they're looking for a big thing. Ghostfire Podcast just had an episode that dropped this week, and they talked about that and how the D&D name possibly is like hurting its chances of like
Mm,
actually becoming a cinematic universe. And they talk about that. They're like, yeah, like, if Game of Thrones was called Dungeons and Dragons, a Game of Thrones, it wouldn't have taken off,
mm.
because there's this thinking of like, oh, D&D's for nerds, and it's so complicated because there's all this lore and history, but they're like, guys, Game of Thrones is D&D. That's essentially what you're watching, you
Kind of,
know?
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. So who knows? We'll see how this goes. I like the little short they did on Secret Level on the Amazon show.
Hmm.
Did you get to watch it?
Oh no, I haven't yet.
It's rad, dude. It's like 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Just too short. Too short.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It really killed my enthusiasm when I found out that all of these episodes they're just short,
Yeah.
like less than half an hour. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
My
I would at
theory,
least get like the 42-minute,
yeah, my
version. Come
my
on.
theory is they're all backdoor pilots. That's
Yeah,
essentially what this whole series was, just to see the
yeah.
reception to it. Um, because I wonder if that had anything to do with this, because there's a D&D show was being made at one point and then it got scrapped. Those same people though are working on this one.
Because it was originally going to be at Paramount.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
now it's at Netflix all of a sudden, and I wonder because the secret level episode got so people enjoyed it,
yeah,
you know.
probably.
And then Amazon, they're finally like moving forward with Henry Cavill's Warhammer. Like I
Hmm.
still don't know if they've greenlit it, but they're still working on it. I'm like, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
like it really feels like Secret Level was like pilot season. Oh, Sifu. They've announced they're getting a live action movie.
Oh,
And
really?
it's the John Wick guy's going to be producing it.
Oh, okay.
Chad Stalinsky or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Stahelski?
hmm
Yeah, yeah.
I just know the first name.
Cool. I'm just bummed that, the D&D show's not gonna have anything to do with the movie, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, maybe
Although
one
the
day.
although the movie is dropping on Netflix this month.
That's true.
Like I think it's next week.
Yeah.
Um
I don't
and
know how.
hopefully that does, that helps with something.
Yeah, I don't know how like the rights go and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but it's all canon to the world. So maybe one day
Yeah.
they'll cross paths. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just again, I don't know why they're not doing more of Baldur's Gate 3. They
Yeah.
own all the property. Like, let's do it. Let's go.
It's crazy to me that like you wouldn't like immediately want to like capitalize on the success that like once it was already like top selling game, like okay,
Mhm.
yeah, let's do it. And then when it wins game of the year, it's
Yeah.
like yes, let's immediately put together a team and say, hey, we're gonna, not only are we wizards going to put out a book set in Baldur's Gate, or
hmm
around the events of Baldur's
hmm
Gate or something, but we're also gonna do a TV show or
It
something.
gets worse because they were developing Baldur's Gate 3 for such a long period of time, longer than most video games get. And
Mm-hmm.
like I think it was like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years. They already knew it was a big hit because
Mm-hmm.
people were paying to play the beta test and the alphas and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
the money was already going through. I don't know if it was just to Larian or is Larian and WotC and Hasbro or what, but like
Mm-hmm.
the money was already flowing for years before the game came out officially.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't they have said, okay, if it's gonna come out 2023, we're gonna have a companion book. We're gonna have a Baldur's Gate setting book for
Yeah.
D&D come out that same time.
Yeah.
Same thing with the movie. Like
Yeah.
why like they did like a heist book, which I think like the prison from the D&D movie was in there, but I'm like the
Yeah.
characters were nowhere to be seen, anything. They did like a half-assed attempt to like do they added like some of the magic items from the movie into D&D Beyond and character sheets from the characters, but I'm like,
Mhm.
come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, give us something good. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah. But I think that's everything outside of Lost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fully everything else
We
that's
caught
going on
up.
in the world. Yeah.
We caught
We're
up on the world, guys.
we're caught up.
Oh man. I think at this point, like we don't really have MVPs anymore for Lost because like they're all ensemble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone did great. Matthew Fox as always, or not as always, but like this season he's really killing it. You
Hmm.
know, and I like what they're doing with Jack. So, um, yeah, man, it's just heartbreaking. 3 episodes left. Got any predictions?
Who
No.
cares?
Who cares?
Who cares, Matt?
I'm sure all your predictions will come true next week when we talk about
Hmm.
Lost season 6, episode 15, Across the Sea. And I got no tease for it because I couldn't figure out a tease that wouldn't be wouldn't be filled with spoilers. So
Mm. All right.
yeah, not to be confused with Under the Sea. So
Which is
listeners,
where Jin Sun in sight.
oh
Yeah.
no.
Just to twist that knife even
uh
further.
yeah. Uh I will say this because I was reading about some behind the scenes, and after the episode ended, a lot of the fans were asking why did Jin stay? You know, like doesn't he want his daughter to have at least one parent? And Damon Lindelof was saying he's like, in that moment they had just been reunited, and he says he's like, I'm never gonna leave you again, and
Hmm.
he's like, I'm not really gonna say why certain characters don't say or do different things, but we just didn't want them to. We didn't want that scene to be about their daughter. We wanted that scene to be about them and their
Yeah.
relationship. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do like that they went out together.
Hmm.
So even though I don't like it,
Yeah.
it was a great moment. So
Yeah.
I was getting it's such a well done scene, man, because like I already knew what happens, but I was getting so anxious because you just kept seeing the water get higher and higher, you know, and Jack wasn't leaving. And I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, oh no.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
oh, and then he's even gonna leave them air. And he's like, I don't need it. I can get Sawyer without it. It just says, no, you can't. I was like, yep,
Yeah.
yep. It's like, oh, geez. At least we didn't actually see the death scene, like in the
Yeah.
Poseidon remake.
Oh, did they show it in the Poseidon remake?
Uh-huh. We see, spoiler alert, we see Kurt Russell die.
Oh,
He
dang.
has to swim down there and he has to like open the valve or whatever to
Hmm.
save all the survivors, including his daughter. And like we straight up see him drown. He's just like he starts like convulsing underwater. I'm like, that sucks. I didn't need to
Damn.
see that in this PG-13 adventure movie. Like, it's Kurt
Uh-huh.
Russell, man. How could you not like him? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could have been worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us for this very
Somber
somber, is that the word?
and rage filled.
Rage-filled ending. But I mean, that's just a testament to how good it is. It's so good it pissed us
Sure.
off.
Sure. Let's go with
We'll
that.
see how we feel after next week. Is it still going to be so good that we're pissed off?
We'll see how we feel at the end of all of this. It's like, okay, was this really worth it? You know?
Well, it's been interesting because we've had some ups and downs. We've been, we've been nervous, and then other times not nervous. But I feel
Hmm.
like these last couple episodes, especially in 2025, that we've watched, we're like, man, this was good.
Hmm.
This was
Hmm.
solid, even though still all the island stuff is plot driven, all the off island stuff is character driven. Like it was still enough. We're like, man, these are solid episodes. And then we get to this one,
Hmm.
where it still is, but like it's kind of at the point, like, well, okay, I'm kind of getting the Game of Thrones feeling, like are we going to wrap this up? How are we going to wrap this up? You know,
Hmm.
especially now with so many characters. I mean, on one hand, it's like we have so many less characters. So I feel like it'll be able to focus the story more in these last three episodes.
Hmm.
Uh, but at the same time, like we have less characters, and they're not necessarily our favorite ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But we'll find out next week. Everyone, thank you for joining us. You can always find us on social media. I'm on Threads and what's the other one?
Instagram.
Oh, Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch and on BluSky at Matthew Jimenez.
And you can find me on BluSky, Instagram, and Threads at Real. That's REEL Texas Weirdo.
So the goal, the indicator, we're gonna test Sam's attitude next episode. Is it darker than this or is it brighter? We're gonna find out.
Is there a reason why you're saying that right now?
Just
Should I?
because you don't want to be here, Sam.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, no,
Ah,
I don't want to be here with all these white people. That's what it. That I'm sorry. I'm sorry
that's a
if
good
that wasn't
point.
apparent enough. The last person of color in our main cast is Hurley.
Yeah, we love Hurley, but that's
And we
true.
love Hurley, but no, now I gotta stick around with the rest of these white people.
We had to kill off all the non-white people. I didn't even
Uh-huh.
think about that.
All the people of the Caucasian persuasion, as it were. And
So,
just ugh.
side story, I was in theater, I was in the show Amadeus.
Mhm.
Well, I was the major domo, which was essentially just like the between each scenes you had the guys dressed all fancy come out and switch the scene around and stuff.
Mhm.
Um I was one of those, but I was like the main one. So I'm the one who had like a single line, and all this stuff. And we had to get everything down perfectly to the timing, to the movements, and all that stuff. And then the fact that they didn't even give us our own script really sucks because
Oh,
yeah, like we had to figure out like we had to fight them. Like we're like, can you please print us the scripts? Because like you want us to memorize all our entrances and exits, but you're not giving us like anything to write it down on.
yeah.
Like, like I need to write it in the script so I know. So finally they did. But anyway, we're in a read through or whatever, and then one of my friends said, oh, like I made the kind of off comment like outside of the theater stuff, like, yeah, it's crazy how like they get the Mexican guys to be all the valets. And and I was kind of joking, and then my friend brought that up in the read through, like, oh yeah, Matt thought it was funny that, you cast all the Mexicans in the valet. I was like, no, damn it. I was like,
Oh God.
and our director, Ronnie, was like, Ronnie, I was joking. I didn't mean that for real. I'm like, damn it, dude. Why would you do like that was my
Theater.
joke and it wasn't even a good joke.
It's a cutthroat world.
Yeah, I was like, damn it. But
Hmm.
now as you just go on, I was like, yeah, why was that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ronnie, tell us that.
especially because I had a lot of mixed feelings about that show. I had some friends who were in like the main cast who had an amazing time just as artists and
Hmm.
learning the craft, but the main cast was super small, super small.
Yeah, it's like three people.
Everyone else like hated it. Like there's just so much like just trash talking, both like each other, the cast and the theater itself and the production. I'm like, this sucks, man.
Mm.
Like it sucks because like I was going and really trying to have fun and like just everyone around me ruined it. I was like, oh man, that's a
Mm.
bummer. So yeah. Why was it only the Mexican guys got to be the valet? Why
Yeah.
couldn't I be Mozart?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or Constanzi. Right? Was that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But until next time, everyone, we love you. We miss you. But get lost.
Get lost.